Hey everyone, Tim Dexter here, co-owner of Dexterity Depot, and welcome back to another Dexterity tutorial. On this one, we're going to be tackling the salmon ladder. The salmon ladder is one of the most iconic ninja obstacles. It first made its debut back in 2007 on Sasuke 18. Since then, the salmon ladder or a variation of it has been on every single season of both Sasuke and American Ninja Warrior. With that being said, let's get into our first progression to tackle this iconic obstacle. Before we jump into our first progression, I just want to say that you don't really need a salmon ladder. All you need is a pull-up bar or even a branch outside. So our first progression is going to be the pull-up. So remember, you want your hands like this, not like this, okay? So from the complete dead hang position, you're going to pull yourself all the way up so that your chin is above the bar. Then you're going to go all the way back down. You want to make sure that you're not kipping or swinging at all. You want to just use your upper body strength to help pull yourself up. If you can't do 10 good, clean pull-ups, then you probably can't quite do the salmon ladder just yet, which is completely okay. So pause the video and go work on those pull-ups. So once you can do 10 good, clean pull-ups, we can move on to the next progression, which is a clapping pull-up. So using the same technique we just learned for the pull-up, you're going to do the exact same thing, except when you pull up, you're going to go a lot faster and be a lot more explosive. And then when you reach the top of the pull-up, you're going to clap your hands, and then drop back down, catch the bar, and lower yourself back down to dead hang. For the next progression, using the exact same technique for the clapping pull-up, you're going to do the same thing, except this time you're going to be as explosive as you can and try to get those hands way off the bar as high as you can before catching it and lowering back down to dead hang. Now, our next progression, which is probably the most important, is going to be the kip. Now, quick disclaimer, this is not going to be perfect kip technique. This is going to be kip technique specifically for the salmon ladder. So, starting at dead hang, you're going to bring your head past your shoulders while at the same time bringing your heels to your butt. Then you're going to snap forward and drive your knees up to your chest as you're pulling up. Once you have mastered the kip, you're then going to apply that technique to the different pull-up variations that we went over previously. Now, you don't want to rely on the kip to be able to do those different pull-up variations. You want to be able to use your own strength to do them. However, you will notice how much more power you get when you do add the kip into it. The next progression is actually an optional one called the muscle up. Now, you don't need to be able to do a muscle up to do the salmon ladder, but if you can, you'll definitely have the strength to be able to do the salmon ladder. Not to go too in depth with the muscle up, it's basically just an explosive pull-up, except when you get to the top of the pull-up, you're going to shift your wrists forward, get your chest above the bar, and then push up. You want to make sure that while you're doing this, it's all one smooth motion. You can use whatever technique you want for this one. Once you've mastered all those previous progressions, now it's time to take it to the salmon ladder. So before we get into our first few progressions with that, I first want to talk about the different types of grip, the different techniques for doing the salmon ladder, as well as how to bail or fail safely. So first, when it comes to grips, there are two main types. You have cross grip and regular grip. Really, it comes down to personal preference. However, with the cross grip, the bar is not going to spin in your hands as much. Me personally, I like regular grip, but like I said, it really comes down to what you think is best for you. Next, when it comes to bailing or failing safely on the salmon ladder, if the salmon ladder you're doing doesn't have a pulley system on it, like ours does here at Dexterity Depot, you want to make sure that you're holding onto the bar the entire time as you're falling. But if you do have a pulley system on the salmon ladder that you're using, you want to make sure that you just let go of the bar as you're falling. Lastly, when it comes to techniques for the salmon ladder, there are a lot of different types. However, we're only going to go over the 4 most commonly used methods. The first technique we're going to go over is what I like to call the all swing method. This one requires the least amount of strength and uses all momentum to get the bar up. However, this one has a lot of room for error in it. To do this, you're going to kick your legs forward to generate a swing. Then on your back swing, you're going to drive your knees up and push the bar up as high as you can. The second technique that we're going to cover is what I like to call the all kip method. This one is going to use the kip that we learned earlier to generate the power to push the bar up. So to do this, we're going to do the exact same thing that we learned earlier. We're going to do our kip, and then we're going to explode up and push the bar up as high as we can, just like how we did on the kipping clap pull-up or the kipping hands off the bar pull-up. The third technique we're going to go over is what I like to call the all pull method. For this one, you're literally just going to do a pull-up, and when you reach the top of your pull-up, you're just going to push the bar up as high as you can. The final technique that we're going to cover is my personal favorite, and it's the one that most ninjas use. This technique is how you do the salmon ladder very quickly and efficiently. For this one, we're going to combine a kip and a lock-off. So to do this, we're going to start in a locked off position. From there, we're going to kip and then explode and throw the bar up as high as we can. It's important to play around with all those different techniques and find out which one works best for you before we move on to the next progression, because you can use any of those techniques for the progressions to come. So you understand how to bail safely, you understand how to grip the bar, and you understand the different techniques to be able to do the salmon ladder. Now we can jump into our next progression. For this one, our goal is simply to be able to remove the bar from that first rung using any of those techniques we just covered. So for our next progression, rather than just taking the bar off the rung, this time we're actually going to push the bar up and then land back down on that same rung to get used to the impact. Because one of the hardest parts about the salmon ladder is still being able to hold onto the bar after slamming it down onto the rungs. So once you can do that a few times without letting go of the bar and you've gotten more of a feel for it, we can move on to our next progression. For this one, it's the exact same thing, except we're going to add a lot more power to it and actually try to hit the bottom of the next rung and then same thing, land back on that same rung. Alright, so you've mastered all those progressions and now it's time to go for your first ever salmon ladder rung. But before we do this, let's go over some key things to keep in mind to make your life easier when attempting this. So number one, the salmon ladder is all about timing. So whether you're using the pulling method, the swinging method, the kipping method, it doesn't matter. You always want to make sure that you're pushing that bar up at the top. Number two, the salmon ladder is all about momentum. Okay, so you really want to make sure you drive your knees up for every technique that you're doing to help you to push that bar up. Lastly is hand placement on the bar. You want to make sure that your hands are a little bit past shoulder width, so it's easier when you pull up to get both sides up at the same time. If your hands are too close, it makes it easier for one side to get up and not the other side. Just a quick little recap, we have timing, momentum, and hand placement on the bar. Once you understand all those, now it's time to put it all together. As a final closing point, if you're still having trouble, you can try using smaller gaps or a lighter bar to help you get the technique down. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As always, if you're interested in learning more parkour and ninja skills, we offer classes Monday through Thursday right here at the Depot. So head over to dexteritydepot.com for more information. Thanks, everyone.